Okay, I've clicked
both
both
buttons, so
buttons,
there
so there
should be
should be
sound, but
sound,
we're
but
going
we're
to get
going to
an
get an
echo in a
echo in a
minute,
minute,
which is
which
what
is what
always
always
happens.
happens.
I
I
swear,
swear,
this
this
stuff
stuff
just
just
doesn't
doesn't
like
like
me.
me.
I
I
don't
don't
understand why
understand
this
why this
keeps
keeps
doing
doing
this.
this.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so
if I
if I
get
get
what, not
not
if,
if,
but
but
when the
when the
echo
echo
starts, let me
starts, let me
know, and
know,
I'll
and I'll
click the
click
other
the other
button
button
back
back
off
off
again.
again.
I
I
hate the
hate the
delay.
delay.
It's,
It's,
you know, when you're
when you're
sitting there
sitting there
waiting
waiting
for a
for a
response,
response.
echo,
Echo,
there it
there it
is.
is.
Okay.
Okay.
And now the echo. We may just have to wait a minute for the sound to come up. I may need to work this out in advance so that Joy texts me so I don't have to sit there going, waiting for it. So you should be good and not have an echo now. Sound is good. All right, so this is just the way it works. Oh, I mustn't have closed the door. I just got the door closed quite firmly. So anyway, hope you guys are all having a good Friday. Um, and that you've had a decent week this week. That's how I shoot for these days. It's just decent. So I had my bangs cut yesterday, and now they feel a little bit short. So looking at myself, I'm going, I think I had her cut them a little too short, but oh well. By next week they'll be fine. So anyway, we are going to be continuing on with the Past Adventures. I don't like the name, but it's what it's named, so we're just going to stay with it, but I don't like that name. But the Past Adventures um, photo journal, which is kind of a hybrid between a photo album and a journal. So that's what I've been calling them. Excuse me, I came up with that about a year or so ago, but I guess it was about 2 years now. Does anybody else have the same problem? I feel like I'm in some sort of weird time warp. Things that happened yesterday feel like they were a year ago, and things that happened 2 years ago feel like yesterday. Things that happened, 3 or 4 years ago feel like it was last week. I think this whole pandemic stuff has just messed with my mental calendar clock or whatever. Everything feels off in terms of past time. Things feel just like they don't fit into your mental clock calendar thing. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. So time is all out of whack, and you're young, so that's like, oh great. So yeah, I'm just like somebody emailed me and say, hey, I emailed you like 4 months ago asking about this. I'm going, no, I thought that was like last week. So one of the things I am going to go do this weekend is I know there's been a couple of people who have emailed me recently, and for some reason or another, when it comes in, it's like I'm either not at home so I can't answer, or there's something I need to do, and it's like somebody emailed me last week something about Maple Street, and I needed to take a picture, so I go, oh, well, I can't do it right now because it's dark. I'll wait till morning, and then it's like, poof, it's gone. So this weekend I am going to go through my email from the last few months to see if there's anybody else that I missed, because I know there are, because I know I've gotten a couple of emails, and I'm like going, oh, but who was that? So I've got to, I'm carrying now a notebook with me everywhere to where, or at least, for the most part, that I'm just taking notes and stuff and putting notes in. It's like, and I need to do it when an email comes in, is put the email and then I can cross it off because my brain just isn't working. Joy says it's called old age. Wow. Thanks, Joy. Yeah, we all are just trying to do the best we can. So it is. Anyway, excuse me. My allergy stuff is starting because now we're starting to get some spring-like weather. It's March. It's almost my birthday, except I'm not celebrating birthdays any longer, so we'll just call it my birthday and call it good. So, Anyway, all right. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch cameras. We'll do a quick sound check again when I do that, and then we'll go ahead and get rolling. Um, Before I do that, does anybody have any questions about anything at all? Let's see, I did put out a video earlier this week with a binder clip binding that is super fun, super quick, super easy, and I'm seriously thinking about doing a challenge with that. I'm involved in a couple of challenges. The main one being the one over on Instagram that I'm doing. It's the 100-day project. We're at day 34 today, so we're a third of the way through. So if you want to be following along with what I'm doing, that's over on Instagram at Laura D. Dennison. So you can drop me a follow. If you follow and then you like frequently enough, the algorithm, it'll start showing up in your feed. Otherwise, you have to kind of go there after the first week or two. So I'm not totally 100% sure how all the algorithms, but my daughter has told me, Mom, you have to like pictures to keep seeing that person. I'm like, oh, okay. So my little social media expert, because I'm still figuring out working with Instagram. I think I've got Facebook sort of down, but Instagram is kind of, I'm still figuring it out, but I'm doing more and more stuff over there. But anyway, I posted that video there, but I also posted it over on YouTube. So whichever you prefer to watch, but I am thinking of putting together some stuff and doing a challenge with that, because the challenges I am finding by doing those, which is where I was leading when I went off track, which is not unusual for me, but what I'm finding with the challenges, especially right now, it's really helping me to jumpstart my creative juices and wanting to do something. It's kind of like it kind of forces me, if I have a deadline, to do it, even though it's not a hard deadline, but it's really helping me to kind of dive in and do some stuff. And it's been super beneficial for me mentally to be doing some of these challenges. So I highly recommend them if you're having a hard time installing out frequently. It seems to help. So I want to put together a challenge with using that, since it's super easy and easy to get materials to do. So other things this week that I did is I was working on some eco dyeing, which is dyeing with natural materials and that sort of thing. I had some tea and rusty bits and all sorts of stuff in there. And this is the kind of thing I used to do all the time when I was quilting. I loved dyeing fabrics, was the coolest thing. I had done some fiber classes and stuff when I was in school, because my major was interior design, but I had a minor in fibers. So I had taken a bunch of classes on fiber dyeing and stuff like that. I wish I had the facilities to be able to do what I did there, but I hadn't done it in years. So it was fun kind of getting back into doing that. And I was just using tea for the most part, and a few plants and stuff. This weekend I'm going to do some more, where I'm going to run down to the woods and grab some plants and press those in between things and stuff. But I have some really cool papers, so I'm excited to be working with some of those. And that's something, if we want to do something like that, it would be fun to do if people are interested in some of that kind of thing. One of the things I'm moving more and more towards is incorporating my past with my present, is incorporating more fabric. As we've always had fabric kind of in a lot of my, I've got yarn coming up, the yin yang around here, because I love yarn and fibers too. So, and I've also over the years done jewelry. So trying to work in and incorporating a lot of those things into my own work, whether it's going to be that I'm teaching some workshops, I'm going to be selling some of my stuff. One of the things is I still have my Etsy shop, and I'm going to start doing some of my, some of the stuff that I've done. I'm going to be starting to sell it over on Etsy rather than on my website, because my website is more my Laura Dennison Designs type stuff. But I have some things that, rather than just, I don't want to toss them, but if somebody would give them the love that I can't right now, I'm more than happy. People have asked me to sell some of my stuff in the past, so I may start doing some of that And but I figured that way I can keep them a little bit separate is that um, I'll have my Etsy for people who want to buy specific finished things. So it may be some albums, and maybe some of these journals, and then some other things as well. So we're all grow and evolve and change and move in different directions and do all that sort of thing. Now, we wouldn't be dyeing fibers. I'm actually dyeing paper and envelopes and some fabric and stuff. But you can pop over to posting I did. It shows some of the papers and stuff towards the end. But I have all sorts of bits and pieces of. There's lace in there. There's all sorts of different kinds of fabric. There's different kinds of paper. There's pouches and envelopes and all that kind of stuff. And I think the fascinating part about it is you don't have control over it, and you don't know until you're unwrapping it to see what it really is going to look like. I mean, that's what I was always fascinated when I would be dyeing fabrics and stuff, because I never got into dyeing yarn and things like that. I mainly just dyed fabrics. But it's always fascinating to see some of the cool stuff that would come out. So it was kind of that going back to those days, and it was a fun, very internal type of experience, and I love it. It may not be a look that some people like. It's a very rustic, very earthy, very uncontrolled kind of look. So anyway, we'll see what I'm going to end up doing with that. Leslie, yes, I have an Etsy store because that's how I started. Before I had my website, I had the Etsy shop, and I used to sell all my patterns over on Etsy. This was in like 2000, from 2010 when I did my first tutorial to 2012 when I started my website. So for those 2 years, I sold my patterns, and that was before downloads were a thing. So whenever each day I had to go through, and any orders that came through that day, I had to email them to people. So it wasn't, now that's all set up for digital downloads and all that kind of stuff. But, leave it to me to always be ahead of what is easy and convenient, and it has to be more difficult. But it was just, and then I got my website to be an arm and a leg to be over at Etsy, because they charge you per piece of what you put up. And then I was constantly having to go back and check because it wasn't a digital download. So I put in like 10 patterns. Then once those sold, then I have to add more in. But you got charged per piece plus per transaction. So plus on top of that, PayPal fees. And that's why I ended up going with a website, because I wanted to eliminate all those extra fees. I still have the PayPal fees, but it was close to 5% more that I was losing being on Etsy. So Etsy is great if you're small, but once you start to get bigger, it gets pricey. So by selling my stuff there's nothing there right now, so you don't need to run there. I think it's under Follow the Paper Trail. Probably is. I haven't been over there much. Every once in a while I go check and make sure there's not any. Every once in a while there's people who have liked something or messaged something, even though it says, my stuff's over on my website. But since I never took it down completely because I wanted the history, so when people, lose access to stuff, I can at least go to those. Then I have the 2012 to 2014 period where I had the insane woman from Hawaii who was running my website and had me on something that was used, like places like NBC use that kind of platform. And we couldn't transfer it over when I moved to WordPress with my niece in 2014. So I have that 2-year gap where if anything you purchase during that, I don't have access to without doing some major forensic stuff on PayPal. So those are always the hard ones when people want access to those, because it's like, oh gosh, it takes me hours to find them, the orders, because I have to do it through PayPal. That's the only way access I have. But I've kept Etsy just because I needed that 2010 to 2012 year. See, I get sidetracked and I go on this, people don't really care about all this. Yeah, well, see, I was doing Etsy back, 11 years ago now. So that's what, oh God, Etsy was brand spanking new when I was using it. But it was the best solution for me at the time. So now it's like, wow, they've got all these things that I wish you guys had this all 10 years ago. So anyway, all right. I think my Etsy shop is Follow the Paper Trail. I don't think it's under Laura Dennison Designs. It might be Laura Dennison Designs, but I think it's Follow the Paper Trail. Might be Following the Paper Trail. Not really positive, but I'll check and I'll let people know. But right now there's nothing in the shop because I don't have anything that I'm selling just yet. So anyway. Yeah, see, 2014 is when I went to the format of my website now, and Ansley helped me, my niece helped me from 2014 to 2016. And 2017 is when I had the great crash, and we had to rebuild from scratch, able to transfer pretty much. And I'm still getting emails from people asking for stuff to be reattached. So, and if somehow you've fallen through the cracks on that and you still need access to some old stuff, feel free to drop me an email and I'll put you on my list of people that still need access. But so from 2014 till currently, I'm on a WordPress system. And from 2017 on, I've had the lovely Carol helping me out on the website. So without her, I would be toast. So, the crash was so awful. It crashed while I was on my way down to Arizona, excuse me, with Trevor for that first hockey thing. Oh God. And it was like, I remember being in the middle of Death Valley in Nevada. I think it was well, whatever. It was the desert in Nevada, north of Vegas, where, it was just crashing and burning. And I was in Arizona then for almost 2 weeks. And then I don't know what to do. I don't know, because Ansley was having some serious issues and was not able to help me out. And I didn't know where to find somebody. So Carol, sweet, sweet Carol, came to my rescue, knows what she's doing. She's amazing. Without her, I probably would have gone over the edge. But yeah, no, that was the start of the worst period. And I'm just now kind of crawling out of it. Website crash, just trying to keep everything afloat while Trevor's playing hockey all over the place. Driving back and forth across the country 4 times. Back and forth to Arizona, to Wyoming, and across the country. Yeah, it was crazy. And then just, now my mental breakdown of the last few years, but we're getting back. It's coming back. And I feel like I'm finally ready for it to be 2015. As weird as that sounds. Mentally, I'm ready, like, okay, it's 2015 and I can pick up and now I can run with the ball from 2015 and move it forward, yet it's 2021. So, anyway. Gail, I still do mini albums, even on YouTube. I just did one this past week. Like, it was more, I call it a journal, but it's a YouTube. I just did one this week. So, but yeah, that was way back when I first started in 2009. Then we started Ustream in 2010, and that's when I started doing the tutorials. And I try so hard to do as much as I can that are freebies, but I have to make at least a little bit of money to keep moving forward. Yeah, I'd like to go back to 2015 because I can fix a lot of things that went off the rails from 2015 on, and with hindsight, I would do things a lot differently. They are, Nettie. They aren't babies no more. Trevor turns 23 in 2 weeks, less than 10 days. His birthday's the day after mine, the 15th. He turns 23. So he's going to be starting with school this summer. Sarah's on her second semester now. She's doing well. She's pulling straight A's. He starts, and then he wants to go on and go to law school. So he's getting his stuff all together. So, but yeah, he's feeling he's running a bit behind. But I did the same sort of thing. I went to school I went to college right out of high school, but went for a year and a half, and then came home and went for a bit, and then started working. And I went back to school. I was kind of doing it on and off at a community college, and then went back to school in my mid-20s, and finished up my bachelor's and got my master's. And he's such my child. So anyway, I keep digressing, and this is stuff that nobody really cares about. So let me go ahead and get started. So, all right, are we still all good on the sound? Yeah, he was 15 10 days ago. I'd like him to be 15 because then I would be a lot younger. 10-year college plan. Well, that's what my dad used to consistently say. He goes, "Why do both of you guys have to be on these 10-year college plans?" Because, I went to school. I got a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. My brother got a bachelor's degree, his dental degree, and then post-dental degree. So, it's like we both just kept going to school. He only went like 2 years more than I did. Excuse me, in the end, but he's retired now, but he made more money than I did. Yeah, dentist was more paid better than architect. Alrighty. All right, so what we did, is any other questions? But be careful. If you ask a question, I could go off on a complete digression. So, oh, the delay is bad tonight. Really bad. So anyway, we worked and did the cover during the last class. We did this cute little braided thingy down the back, and the inside, this back. So I'm then embellishing the pages separately, and we'll add them in. Excuse me. Got a tickle. No, I don't have a COVID. I'm nothing like that. I just have a tickle in my throat. Talking makes it aggravated. So, but we are embellishing the pages, and then I'll go ahead and put them in the book. I like just having, if I were doing this without being on camera, excuse me, it's totally fine. Doing them in the book, but it's very cumbersome, and I knock things off the table and all that kind of stuff when I'm trying to stay in a very confined space. So it's easier to do it page-wise. So if you like doing it this way, you can. If you like doing it into inside the book, that's fine too. It's a personal preference thing. All three of your kids were 4 years and done. Yeah, not so lucky here. So, see, and my husband also, he always is like, he sometimes gets really concerned that they aren't on normal paths. And I go, but Richard, neither of us did it normal. Because my husband, he worked full-time and went to school and got his engineering degree while working full-time. So, it's like, hello. So, all right. So on the back side of this one, this is page 1. We've got this little flip. Now, all of these closures and stuff, exactly what you see before we start adding papers to it is exactly what is in the tutorial. And then, again, this is the Past Adventures album. It is a video tutorial to where you get a supply list and cutting guide. So it gives you all the dimensions written down for cutting everything. But how it all assembles together is in the video tutorial. And the videos are accessible on my website under the paid tutorials after your purchase is completed. So the paper we are using is Forgotten Garden, and it includes all sorts of It includes all sorts of tags and journaling cards as well as the pattern papers. There's also 4 um, signatures um, that are part of this album as well. So it's got the signature covers and the papers inside that you just print. So you don't have to do any finding weird and unique, unusual um, papers and that sort of thing. So there's, this, I call this a solid, but more the accents. And then I have, the pages are all um, the main paper and then 2 accents, and then it's got some color accents in it as well. So, but you can make it all one color as we've talked about in the past. These are for my little tabs for my first page. One of the things I've also talked about in the last couple of classes is this class number 3. Especially in the first class, I talked a lot about printing stuff on different papers than just on cardstock. I print a lot still on cardstock, but I've also been finding that I'm loving doing it on different papers. I've been using some mixed media papers that are of a heavier weight, like a 90-pound weight. You can go watch the first video of that's here on YouTube from YouTube Live, showing it's got a little bit more texture, and it just, I don't know, it just feels like it has a little bit more depth done on a little bit more of a textured paper. And I've also done some on a lighter weight texture paper, and this is some Strathmore pastel paper. And then I also talked about the washi tape strips. Because we buy these spools of washi tape and then we don't use the whole spool. And then they kind of, after a few years, especially if you have them out in the light, I have mine in something that keeps a lid on it so they stay darkened and the adhesive stays longer. But I'm usually sick of it by then. So a sheet like this where you can just print it, this usually especially for just one project, it's going to give you as much washi tape as you're probably going to use. And if you need more, you print another sheet. I do print this on the, it's the charcoal paper, not pastel. The charcoal paper, Strathmore charcoal paper. Again, talked about that on the first class. And then I put some adhesive on the back. I happen to use the stick-it adhesive on it. And you cut it, and then you can use it like any other washi tape. And we'll be using this. I've been into washi tape lately. So, this gives me cardstock weight, and then by printing it on the charcoal paper, it's a little bit lighter weight. And I also just like having more of an artsy-fartsy texture. If you're going to do any kind of wet media on it, you will need, because one of the things is with, I use an inkjet printer, and the inkjet printer is not water resistant. So I do use a spray fixative on top, and then I've had 0 problems doing wet media on top of it. If you're into doing any kind of stenciling, mixed media, that sort of thing on the digital papers, is just, if I spray this fixative on there, I don't have problems. I even ran some, when I was doing this dye bath, I put in some of my digital papers. I wanted to kind of see how they would do. They added some cool colors and stuff to things because the ink all washed off except the black. So I can, and that was really helpful to me because I can do some black and white stuff and run it in the tea dye bath, and the black survives. The color doesn't, but the black survives. So I'm going to run some black and white stuff with the stuff I'm going to do this weekend, so I can have some of those kind of images. Anyway, this is a pretty extensive collection. It's in blues and violets and neutrals. As I said, it's called Forgotten Garden, and it kind of has that theme to it. So, all right. So this page, the page 1B, I think is what I call it. I want to do something with red, Joy. It's harder to find kind of things to go with red. But I'm on a mission. I'm going to do a paper collection that has a red in it, because red is also my mother's favorite color. And I know it's one of Joy's colors too. So I do want to do something with red. Yeah, fixatives, matte clear spray, that sort of thing. Well, washi tape doesn't necessarily, I'm just reading back. Joey Ross, washi tape doesn't necessarily fade, but anything printed will fade if it's in direct light. It's not so much that it fades, but the adhesive gets a little, it can get a little, janky. I wasn't really into doing much with washi tape until I took a class with Seth Apter. And I think my biggest thing with washi tape is I liked it, but it never seemed to stay stuck for me. It always seemed to peel up. I don't know if it was my climate, whatever. And it was like, I had a major light bulb moment when because he uses a ton of it, and he was putting it on, and he used a glue stick and glued it down. And it was like, duh. So now that I found a way to keep it adhered, I'm like, I love this stuff. So it just, my biggest problem with this is it didn't seem to stay stuck. It never seemed to have good adhesive. So now that I know that I can keep it stuck in, I love the stuff. So yes, Nettie, this is my third week now. I'm doing it from 4 to 6 West Coast time. So that puts it at 7 to 9 on the East Coast, 6 to 8 in Central, 7 to 9, no, 5 to 7 Mountain, and 4 to 6 Pacific. And Joy in Hawaii, I don't remember, are you 2 hours or 1 hour, or where are you at right now? So, but timing wise, and on Fridays, and I'm trying to stay consistent with being on Fridays and not bounce around, because we kind of bounced around there for a while. I would go months at a time where I was like no mental state to do a show. So I'm trying to stay consistent with the Fridays now. So it's you are still 2 hours behind us, because they don't go on daylight savings. So I get all confused. If I'm not talking to her on a super regular basis, I get confused, which isn't hard these days. So, but typically Fridays, 4 to 6 Pacific time. So, all right. So I've got this little flap that has got this little tag-like piece on the end. I did a little doodad with a little circle thing right there. And then we've got a large piece that folds out. So it's got a flap on it. This flap can be left as a flap, or it can be turned into a pocket. This depends on what you want it for. So if you're making this to hold more photos, less journalish type thing, then you can definitely keep this as a flap, and because it gives you more real estate area. By turning it into a pocket, less surface real estate, but then you can put all sorts of goodies into the pocket. So it's just whatever you want to do on that. And then it's got these little little flaps with pockets. So it's got a pocket on each side for you to put tags, mats, that sort of thing. And then that opens up and leaves you some area also on the bottom. Yeah, so you're in Florida, Alexa. So it's, you're on East Coast time. So yeah, it definitely, it gets kind of wonky, especially, I know whenever I would be going to the East Coast and talking to Joy in Hawaii, it was a 6-hour time difference. So, I would be calling her at like dinner time, and it was noon. So, that was always so weird for me when I'd be on the East Coast to talk to Joy. It was it's 4 hours from Seattle to the East Coast, but it's even, it was even further when I was on the East Coast talking to her in Hawaii. So when Alexa was little, she thought the whole world's on the same time. Yeah, see, when I was little, Alaska had 4 time zones in just the state of Alaska. I think we mentioned this before. Just the state of Alaska had 4 time zones. And then in order to be able to do business, especially with the East Coast, They finally switched Alaska to where it's now 2 time zones. But at one point it was within 4 time zones, and it was next to impossible to do business with the East Coast because you'd just get to the office and you'd have maybe an hour before the East Coast closed down. So the state just went to 2 time zones because it really didn't matter when you have just a couple of hours of daylight in the winter and a couple of hours of darkness in the summer. Where you move those around is not super critical. So it really didn't mess anybody up. It's not like I remember going to visit grandparents in Chicago, and in the middle of the summer it would get dark at like 9, and I'd be like freaking out, going, "Why is it dark? It's summertime." So it's what you get used to. So yep, Alaska's geographically quite large. So yeah, from the the panhandle, or the area that goes down alongside Canada, close to Washington, over to the tip of the Aleutian Islands, which go almost to over to Japan and such, geographic area. That's why it was. I mean, the huge chunks of Alaska weren't necessarily in all 4 time zones, but it pushed. See, now Anchorage is now only an hour ahead of Seattle, but it used to be, for all those years, it was 2 hours ahead. So it would have been this. It was the same sort of thing. Like, just like people in Hawaii have a hard time doing business with the East Coast because of the 6 hour time difference, and that's why Alaska went to where, so it was only 5 hours to the East Coast. So anyway, I get digressed. I tend to I've always, but then those of you who've been around for a while know that I get off on tangents. I get off track easily. All right, so we kind of got to figure out what is going to go back behind here and what's going to go on this little flap. I always have these little pieces that are left from what I just did. And I'm such a miser, I want to use those kinds of things up first. Do I have all my packing papers? Do I have everything now? Okay. So I'd ask what color, and then Lois would say blue. Oh, Alexa probably runs into that problem all the time. So Nettie just said, I just turned on her Alexa. But, just talking to Alexa, she probably has people who have that problem. So my husband had at one point gotten me an Alexa, but I'm like going, I don't want this thing listening to me all the time. Okay, I kind of like that one. That one's pretty cool too. Let's see how any of these all look. So, well, my dogs make, dogs around the world bark over the years. So, it somehow seems about normal that I would turn on your Alexa. So, and I keep saying it, so I keep turning it on. All right, so we'll do something like that. What would be kind of fun to do is with this flap. So this flap comes over, and it's got this kind of archway. And so this comes over it. It might be kind of fun is if then we cut the archway out. So then you could put something back behind the archway, but then this covers over it. But when you move the flap back, it opens it up. So, that's a thought. So there's one. And there's the same sort of thing with this one. Oh, and that fits even better too. Ooh, with this one, it's got these little doors. And see, and then we could cut the doors open. I like that better. Okay, I think we're going with that one. But let's just, okay, so Yeah, these others seem boring by comparison. So we're going to do this one with this door. How far over does it go? So in order to get that door in there, we may have to have some foo-foo along here, but that's fine. But on top of here, I like the kind of green. I could bring that down there. Or do I want the green? The green kind of brightens it up a little bit, doesn't it? Whereas that one keeps it kind of in that dark mode. Blue or green? I'm into green right now. But then I like this one on there. It kind of blends better, whereas the green kind of jumps out. So we're going to go with that one. Because I like the green. And what I think I'll do is then inside here, maybe I'll put the green inside here. So it will show, oops, that little bit of, then I'll have that green around the edge. Okay, that works. So we'll set that one over here. All right, so if we're going to have this underneath our little flapperdoodle thing, so the edge of the door has to be at least at like 4 7/8. So the edge of the door. Let's go a little bit further. So I don't want it being right at the edge of the door. I want it to go. I'll go to the frame. So we need it to be right about there. I'm also not necessarily into cutting my papers lately. I've been tearing them. I'm going to slowly ease you guys into doing things a little differently. I don't want to do it full on. See, that worked out perfect. Okay, so we need to lose about 1/4 inch off of that. So let's lose it off of this side. So this is where it gets a little trickier. Because then you have to tear off its skinny piece. Good night, Lois. Thank you so much for popping in. I always love seeing your name. It makes me smile. Okay, so that works out perfectly. Okay. So that just covers over that. So that's where we want it. So we're gonna trim right about there and right about there. So this method, for those of you, I've just done a little tick mark and then I'm lining it up. It's relatively straight. So those of you who are allergic to measuring and cutting, it's real easy. Okay. So that looks cool. Now this I will have to use my craft knife. I'm going to cut this door in half. Now I'm going to cut into my little moth thing here because mark this so I don't overcut. Because I want these doors to open, but they'll be closed most of the time. So. Okay, so there I've got my little, oops, I didn't mean to go that high, but I did. Hold on. So there I've got my little doors. So where they'll open now. So, but I want them to fold along that line. So I'm going to lay my ruler on that line. Goes up against it. You have to measure everything because that's what I taught you, and now I'm going, yeah, no, you don't need to. I've graduated you guys all to making your own decisions. Fold them in, fold them out, give them a good burnish. So then that will be able to open up. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put anything inside of there right at the moment, but when I attach this down, I'm going to just attach it kind of around, and I'm not going to attach like right here so that I can slide a photo or whatever it is I choose to put inside of there. So that way I can slip something in. But this, see, this will then hold those doors closed, and when you open it, and then you'll have those in, and you can put like a quote there, or you can put a photo or something like that. So I think that will be fun. I do want to do something, hold you down, on the back side of here, because I don't want this plain white. But I think I'll do some purple, but I'm going to do the purple one that's the lighter weight paper. Because I printed everything on a cardstock weight and then a paper weight. So I have it in both. But because I don't want to add a lot of thickness to this, so I'll add this to the back of the doors. So if I cut this to be 1 3/4, 4 inches. So then I place these on the back side of my doors so that when they open up, then it'll have a pretty purple on the inside. So. Uh, I still gotta finish mine, Joy. I'm so happy for you that it's like, I hate this time of year. Since I'm already running behind, my business one has to go on extension anyway, so I'm finishing that up over the weekend. Okay, I need to scrabble this one a bit. I can't believe my paper cutter is still going. Gee, Alexis, how do you know it's still the same one? It is, I know. I don't know how it's still. I haven't messed it up over the years. I always kind of brace for it being tax season anyway. With my dad having been a CPA, it's like I just used to not see him, you know, during tax season. So basically from January till summer, he was he worked a lot of overtime because he was a tax CPA too. So he I don't know. I have some sort of mental block about tax stuff. Oh wait, I gotta do these guys too. Now I'm not gonna roughen up these edges because I don't want to add any more thickness than I have to. So these are gonna stay nice clean cuts. That's why you should work from home with your own business. Then every next day is the day for work. You don't get to take a break. Okay, so that's gonna go right there, Leslie, like so-ish. And then see, that'll just hold that close. I like it. That thing just wants to pop up. So I'm gonna leave this, but a little extra top and the bottom. So I'm just gonna kind of go like an inch or so on this edge. Just to go, because I want to go around the corner. And so we'll attach. this down so then you can slide something underneath. This is true, Joy. And that's why I think too, with my husband working from home still, it's like I lose track of days, or what day of the week it is, because he just is here. So I think by fall they may be going back to work in the office. All right, so then we got to put stuff on here. I like that top kind of thing. Bottom. I like the bluer, I think. I like this top end. I know, poor Pam. We've talked about that this week. I know for a lot of people it's hard. It does get mentally wearing working from home and never feeling like you get a break from it. So. My biggest issue is I don't have necessarily set work hours, and I never had that with my kids. And so, for them being able to just come in at any time, it's just the norm for them. So, but trying to establish like, hey, you guys aren't, 9 years old anymore. You need to kind of say like, oh, wait, mom may need some time to work. No, it's just like, oh, we just go in. So we hop. This without knocking my water over. This is kind of yellowy, so I want to gray it down a bit. That's what I did, Candy. Well, sort of. I did 3 in the office and 2 at home. Um, after Trevor was born, but I was only working part time. But I was supposed to be in the office 3 days and only one working at home. But I ended up working both days at home. I only got paid for the one day. But yeah, it was nice. Except I finally convinced them to let me do it to where I was in Monday through Wednesday. Because what they wanted me to do is they wanted me to be there Monday and then like Thursday and Friday. And so, but I convinced them to let me. They originally wanted me in there Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and it was like, yeah, no. So, um, I finally got it to where I was in Monday through Wednesday because Monday was always the day I needed most. But I took phone calls from clients and stuff, no matter what day it was, and I take stuff and I'd work at home and it had to get done, so I would just do it, even though they were only paying me part time. I was working full time, but hey, those were the days when I was not as smart, I guess. All right, I like that trim on there. That works for me. So I get ATI. Okay, there we go. And then, as I said, we can go inside here and do. It'd be kind of cute to do some flowers with there. I'm gonna start working on really losing some weight because my knees are getting really bad. I've got my mom's knees, and it's so frustrating. And the best thing I can do for them is to lose some weight. So we're gonna start working on that. All right. So I like having those little flowers on there. I think that looks cute. She's 70. That's youthful still. All right, so then that pops open. I love this. This is coming out so cute. And then by having, let's see, by having that open on that edge, it allows you to be able to put, you know, a picture or something in there. And there is, you've got a good 1/2 inch here to the edge, so you could actually have some stick out, because we could also move this. This can move over to this side if I needed to, if I wanted to have a tag that stuck out there. But yeah, no, I think that came out wonderfully. All right, so do I want that to be a flapper pocket? Here's what I mean by this being a pocket here. See how this slips in here? It's an open edge pocket, and it also does the same thing on the back side. So that little corner pops out. But I think what I'm going to do first is we're going to put this background down, which is what I want this green for. So I'm going to tear off about 1/4 inch off of this bottom edge. Okay. So it's like, do I want to go right up against that, or do I want to give some space? Because I think I'll give some space, because then I could put something cute there. Now remember, this is the binding edge over here too, so. See, I hit the big 6-1 in 10 days. I'm just, or 9 days. Okay, well, I marked that badly. I didn't even come close. That's off by 1/2 inch. Holy smokies. See, and that could have been able to be usable. See, I could have had much wider. Oh well, it's not like I can't print more. Be real, Pam. Do men ever act their age? I know that's not nice, but true, true. All right, see, so you get that little smidgy edge around the edge. Oops, I lost a flower. True. So your husband's all good now. I know he wasn't feeling well after Joy after his second shot, but he's all good to go now. My mom got her second shot this past weekish or so. No, she had zero, other than a slightly soreness on her arm. She had zero reaction to it, so I was very happy about that. But now I can breathe a little bit. Another week, and she should be immune now. So, and I will be able to breathe. I didn't realize how much. Well, I did. I knew how worried I was, but that takes a huge weight off my mind. Then I was worried too, because Joy's husband had such a rough reaction to it. I was concerned she was going to have that same sort of thing. I like to curl my corners. Yeah, my husband and I both have our names in so that we're notified when we're up. All right, let's see. What ditty do we want having be bopping out from the edge? Do you want the check? Check, please. Kind of like the check. You know me, I like my bits of checked or harlequin, whatever you want to call it. Stripes and checks. Oh, Nettie, you're so sweet. Okay, so there's the full edge that's going to go, so I don't want to go too far down. So that works. Now I'm roughing up my edges. You 100% don't have to. That's just the look that I'm into right now, so. Yeah, it varies from state to state. Some states kind of have it together and others do not. Because I know like West Virginia is really on top of it. I hadn't heard what Virginia, how they were doing. Alaska's like one of the ones that's got a ton done. And considering how remote 99% of the state is, it's pretty impressive. I know my brother's been doing, he's retired now as a dentist, but he's been working as a vaccinator. So kind of give it that raggedy look. See. Yeah, we're still on 75 and up too. We haven't dropped down below though. Or it's 70. I think no, it's 65 and up is where we're at. Yeah, he's done all sorts of strange and unusual things over the years. He at one point the elephant out at the zoo needed a root canal. So he helped with that. You know, working with a veterinary dentist. I didn't know there was such a thing. So yeah, he gets to do all sorts of wild and crazy things. Well, with the another vaccine coming on board, I think things are going to probably start moving um, a lot faster. So yeah, well, you might be able to use that new one then, Joy. At least you're in Honolulu. It's the same sort of thing that was happening in Alaska, is with everything so remote and so many places only available via air. So they were flying it in places. Yeah, I'm anxious to see how the vaccinating thing is going in other countries. I know Canada's struggling a bit getting it done as well. I don't know much about what's going on too much in Europe. Yeah, you guys have been running a bit behind up there. I want you guys to get your thing going so that by the time I kind of can get mine, I'm I'm going through major Canada withdrawals. That's something, Nettie, that I've heard have been a major problem for a lot of areas, is that the only place to get them is a long ways, is a good drive away. But I think it's starting to improve all the time, and I don't go out that much, and where I go is, I'm very careful, so I'm willing to be patient and wait. Got my mom. My mom's done, so that now I can be patient. Yeah, those pictures of the snowmobiles, giving shots on snowmobiles. Yep, that was some of the early ones when they were getting some of the essential workers getting shots. So, but yeah, that was kind of the quintessential Alaska thing going on there. Okay, yeah. So, and I have to decide what I want to do in here, if I want to do anything, but I like how those look. Yeah, see, yeah, Candy, with you guys being in Canada, you guys are on a totally different kind of thing than we are here in the States. So, you might be getting different kinds of vaccines than we are, that sort of thing. So, it varies for those of you in different parts of the world too. From what, we kind of forget where the typical American thought process is like, oh, wait, me? Oh, there's other people than just us. All right, so I'm going to put that there, and then I think I'll put some more of that little check, so it kind of all visually ties together. We're not moving real fast on this album, so I might do a page or two if I get so inclined this week, so that we're a little further along, since we're only on the back of page 1. Unless you guys don't mind. Yeah, I've always felt like, oh, people don't want to wait that long to see it done. So, plus I rarely, as those of you who've been around for a while know, I rarely finish one completely on a show. So if people want me to move on to another project here in the next couple weeks, I can also do that. So if you want a 3D project coming in, probably I have a 3D project that I'm going to have coming up, but it's probably going to be still a few more weeks before that's ready to go. So we'll continue on with this for at least towards the end of March. And then we might move towards doing a 3D project. And then I do have something planned to start. That's a 3D project planned to start the first week of May during Natural Scrapbook Month. So I can take this one all the way till then, or we can switch into something else between now and then. I'm just not wanting for a couple years there. We did quite the churn, and I just can't do that any longer. That churning was just too much. Well, maybe rather instead of the piece that chopped off of there, I kind of like that there instead of the check. All right, well, we'll just keep on going until you guys are sick of this. How's that? I always feel like I just everybody gets bored and loses I lose their attention, so I want to move on to something else. So I keep asking, well, what kind of things do you guys all want me to do? And everybody says, well, whatever you want to do. And so, that's what I'm doing, because I also started to think about that. It's like, well, you guys don't know what you want to do until I show you, and then you want to do it. So I just got to do what I want to do and then show it to you. If you want to do it, then we'll do it. If you don't, well, then we don't. How's that sound? All right, so I think that looks cute. So, all right, now I have to decide flap or pocket. Pocket or flap? Now, because these are probably going to, most of the time, have something in the pocket, I'm probably just going to do a little piece along here and not try to put something on that. I'll leave it because we can leave a background cardstock there. We don't have to fill it. I always feel like I have to. And then we can put, this is not the color because this I've used too much already, but something on the face of each of these, but leaving this, the craft, maybe just a little edging piece along here. You know, so it has just a little bit like that. Probably not this one because this is what we use back here, but something along that line. So, but before I decide on that, I'm going to decide on what I want to go here. We're going to blue in honor of Lois. I think I want this to be a pocket. I think I'm going to put this leaf thingy here. So Lois, if you're watching this, we're doing blue just for you. Actually, it goes that way. That's fine. Just need to keep on here. All right, guys. So what should I have for dinner tonight? I don't know if there's a food truck. I should text Sarah to find out if there's a food truck. You know, that's what I kind of reached a conclusion. Because I used to get so frustrated. I'm like going, you know, and nobody will say what the kinds of things they want to do. And I'm like going, you know, I'm just going to, they always say, you know, do what you want to do. And I would always get frustrated by that because I'm like going, yeah, but then when I do that and then they don't like it. But you know what? I'm just going to do what I like to do and introduce it to you. If you like it, awesome. If you don't, that's okay too. What did we have for dinner yesterday? What did we have for dinner yesterday? Oh, we just had Subway sandwiches yesterday. See, my husband and I would be perfectly fine with breakfast for dinner, but I have a picky adult child. So, and that's not her thing. But even if you don't have, you know, you're saying that the reaction means the vaccine is working, but it's still working even if you don't have a reaction, because some people have reactions, some people don't. So it's a weird virus. Excuse me. We had sushi earlier in the week. Trevor could eat. Now, so Trevor would eat sushi every day if he could. Okay, I like that. I want something kind of peachy. So if I did this one back behind it. Ooh, doggy. Yep, like that. Okay, so it brings out that peachy, pinky kind of stuff. So if I do this about 2.5 inches-ish. I need to order a new one of these. This one's getting kind of nasty. I'll probably make enchiladas over the weekend. It needs to be something quicker because by the time I'm done with everything, it's like almost 6:30, and I don't want to have to necessarily cook something. Heat something up is fine, but I gotta cook the chicken and stuff to make the enchiladas, which is Trevor's personal favorite. Yeah, I thought about Mexican. We got a really good Mexican place here, and we'll do that because it's good for me. It's good for 2 meals because I have my leftovers for lunch tomorrow. We haven't had Mexican in a while, so maybe people will go for that. That's part of the reason I want to go on a diet too, is to help forcing me to cook more often. So that goes in there. This goes here. And then my corners are nice and clean so that I can do something in terms of a closure. So. You going over to Cape Cod tomorrow, Miss Pamela? I keep losing my little flower. Yeah, I'll find it. I should have waited and not put those on because... Oh, no, I lost a different flower. I'll just hold them on for a second. I want to come visit you. I want to go to the coast. Our coast isn't as cool. So you go up to Vancouver and the coastline up there is beautiful. You go down to Oregon and the coastline is beautiful. But Washington coastline is kind of just eh. So, the thing I remember more about Florida is with some friends, this is 5 billion years ago, we sailed from Fort Lauderdale over to the Bahamas and we get conch. And I love conch. That's what I remember more from Florida than anything else. Alrighty, so let's see. What do we want to put here? I think I want something green. Pull the green down. Like this tone. So it ties that little bit of pink in there. Kind of works on the blue. Kind of works, kind of works. Where are we at on time? We set up in 2 minutes. Well, perfect. We'll just get this all finished up. Perfection. Yeah, you were probably like in 3rd grade when I did that, Alexa. That would have been in like 91, 92, 91, I think it was. So, yeah, you were probably just a little squirt. You were 2. Yeah, thanks. I was going to say you were a toddler, and then I thought, oh, maybe not. Yeah, no, you were. Let's see. Back side. Oh, that's got butterflies on it. I want my butterflies upside down. Okay, yeah. Old, just feeling old. Yeah, 89 was the year I graduated from graduate school. That's about the time. So, yeah, about your birthday, when you were born, was about the time I was just getting moved here to Seattle. 3 weeks before I graduated, I decided to move to Seattle rather than going back up to Anchorage. Well, I feel old just because of my knees. Mentally, I don't feel my age. And Sarah informs me that um, I'm younger. She tells me I look younger. I don't know if she's fibbing to me, but she likes to tell people I'm younger than I am. So that's fine. You're gonna have to do both of this. If these is big enough, I can't even talk. Okay, this isn't big enough. Oh, perfect. So if I just kind of split this in half. My watch is telling me it's time to stand. Well, you're gonna have to wait a minute. I don't look a day over 30. Okay, well, you lie well. Maybe it's because I just act my age. Except when I walk up the stairs. But you were just an infant when you had her, right, Crazy Lady Cross? Him or her. I'm not sure you didn't say your youngest. When you're young, you were just a mere child when your youngest was born, right? No, see, that's what I thought. I should keep the iPad over on this side of the desk more often. So then it's on camera though. But it's easier to look up and see the chat. All right, so I still got to put a little bitsy piece on there, and I might not get that, but we got to get the little caboodles. Let me use some of these little words. Yeah, I haven't decided yet what I want to do on my 100-day project. If I want to turn that into a class, I'm not, um, other than the pictures you're seeing, like the process, I'm not documenting the process at all. So I'd have to make a whole nother one for a pattern and then a whole nother one for a sample and then the one that I would do in class. So I'm not totally sure. What I might do what we could, because one of the things is for those of you who have seen my 100-day project, that video that I did, kind of walking you through the structure of it. It can also potentially get split into two. So you could have one that's the horizontal that has the flaps on the front, or you could do the vertical. And then obviously I could talk you through how can put it together. But what I was thinking I could potentially do is write the whole thing up and have a sample for the horizontal and maybe do the vertical in class or vice versa. And then you could combine them if you wanted to do the whole thing. But it's a massive undertaking to do the whole thing, but half of one wouldn't be as bad. So, so that might be possible, but I wouldn't do it nearly, and then you could do it as mixed media-ish as you wanted. So it's a possible, but that would be after, that would even be after the next 3D project. That might be something to do this summer. I don't know, is there any interest in that at all? You know what? I'm going to cut this one because I want to make sure it's straight. I'm making these little 2-inch long little taberdoodle things. Slide over there like so, and then I can use that kind of like a backdrop with little words. So I glued that down to the back. So it's glued down inside there. And then flip it down. I'll see, to me, Pam, that's just so funny because to me, I'm going, God, this is boring stuff. I don't know how these people sit and watch this. this little nugget of goodiness. So it kind of ties that stripe in then. Don't slip around. I'll have to cut another strip, and I'll do that later, but for the back side. But since we're at 6, that's all that I have left to do. I didn't ink the back page. Alright, so I'll just put the little strippy dipples here, and then I'll cut some tags to go in there. Then we've got a big area right here, and I'll make some tags to go in here. So, there we go. Yep, so, voila! I'm glad. You guys make me feel good when you say things like that. So it makes me feel like I'm doing something worthwhile for y'all. So, and so that one, that'll be on the back side. So it'll start on this side, flip over. So I'll get this done. I'll get this all done. And then the next class we'll do the next page, the facing page, which is, as long as I haven't taken these out of order, it should be that one. Or is that, that's that one. I was going to say, that didn't seem quite right. So that'll be the facing page right here. Got the paper clip, yeah, that's the right one. Whoops, bent the paper clip. So this one has a flip. So this accordions and that accordions, and this has a pocket on this side, and this has a pocket on this side. So we can go either way. Look at this way. Paper clip to hold it down. And oh, the other thing I need to do is make the tags that go into these pockets here. But that's what we'll do next Friday. Does anybody have any questions? So next Friday, same time, 4 o'clock my time. So anyway, it was fun having you guys join me here in my studio again. It feels fun to have somebody to chat and talk with. So I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day and joining me here. So still a little bit light out. It's almost dark. So I gotta go figure out dinner. So I hope everybody has an amazing weekend and a good week next week. And then we'll see you next Friday. As always, thank you to Joy. I always appreciate her help as my mod to take care of the crazies. So, excuse me, and as to Pam as well, who helps her out. And Lois when she's here first thing. So, she's always so good about that. So, thank you all once again. And stay safe. And we'll see you next Friday. Peace out.